Howdy folks, Kathy Williams-DeVries here, bringing you a new series of videos. These are the Klose 633 practical daily exercises. There are a group of 161 as well, which I will do at some stage, but these practical daily exercises, I think if you tried to do all of them in the one day, you would go mad. I will do them in groups of 50, depending on how long it takes. Yeah, so this group of exercises covers a whole range of the instruments, starting on your low E, working through the throat tones. You've got clarion and altissimo register stuff towards the end. That is absolutely brilliant. So this should be quite a comprehensive series. So we start with exercise number 1, which is E to F. Now there are actually two ways of playing this little exercise. The good thing is you can leave the F key on, because you need that, while you don't need it down, there's no need to lift it when you're playing the E. And you can also play it with the right hand E, left hand F, and again you can keep the F key down. So I would repeat these many times. And why don't we whack a metronome on it as well? Actually we won't, I'll do it slowly. You can speed it up. Now that's exercise 1. Exercise 2, we take the left hand E and the right hand F sharp. Now in this case you will need to raise the E key for the F sharp, otherwise there'll be too many keys down and it won't come out properly. So there's two ways. Exercise 2 has you with the left hand E and right hand F sharp. Now you'll need to coordinate this very well, otherwise you might end up with notes that you don't want. So there's this way, and also this fingering becomes important when you start playing E major, because you will need to use that fingering. So don't just practice the left hand one, practice the right hand one as well. Exercise number 3 is E to G. Again, practice both fingering. Very, very good exercise. And 3 bis. Again, use either E, but make sure you practice both. And the other fingering. And get a smooth E to G and G to B. And apparently you don't need to put the F key down for the E, but although I find that younger students tend to do this because they've got dodgy key work, and that's not a habit you want to get into. So that's number 4. Number 5, again practice both E's. So that's 5 and 5 best. So personally, I prefer the right hand one because it keeps it in the one hand. But also, I find that really hard. I wouldn't recommend that because you're involving the left hand that doesn't really want to be involved. Okay, and now exercise 6, again you can do it 2 ways. I prefer to start on the left hand E so that you can go to the left hand G sharp. Again you can keep the F down. also I find that pretty difficult, but probably well worth the exercise. 7. Now you can use either. Personally, I prefer to start on the left hand E. But you can also which is very, very difficult, but probably worth learning. Number 8, again, you can do it the 2 ways. Note here I'm using the forked B natural. But you can go. But for number 9, there is only one fingering you can use. Right hand E, left hand F to go to the right hand A flat. And you will need to take the F key off. See, it's too muffled. And it's really flat if you don't take it off. And for number 10, again, there is only one E to F to A flat you can use. Now this is a tricky one. So you want a smooth A flat to B flat and a smooth A flat to F. 11 is a little different, although the G sharp of course is the same as an A flat, but rather going up to the B flat we're going up for B natural. So you want a really smooth transition between the G sharp to B. You may want to practice that on its own. And in 12, you're going up to a C, again a really smooth. You're moving 4 fingers at once, you've really got to coordinate that well. You can leave the F key down, for some reason I don't seem to like doing that. Okay, something slightly more difficult at 13, we're going from an A flat to a D flat, and you will have to call in your pinky finger on your left hand for the D flat. So that needs to be really coordinated. That's quite difficult. I'd practice that quite a bit. But it's a little bit easier in number 14 going up to the D, although you really need a... And it's a weird sound, it's the tritone. So they're getting progressively more tricky. 15, again you will need to use the left hand F. Doesn't really matter which E you use at the beginning. I prefer to keep it in the right hand. Practice both. Yeah. So you will need to use the right hand. Hang on, I'll just slide the camera down a little bit so you can see my fingers. although in 16 it's your choice. I seem to prefer using the left hand, but you can keep it on the right hand. Completely up to you. 17, again, completely your choice. I prefer to keep it in the right hand. Although you can also and that is actually a really good exercise if you do want to practice it with the left hand. 18, only one choice of fingerings, left hand E to the G sharp. You've got a really smooth connection here. So you want to release the B at the exact time you're depressing the G sharp. And you might want to concentrate on having a curved pinky. I know my pinky is not curved, unfortunately. I learnt that from far too young an age to do that because I had a really crappy clarinet, and my fingers have been straight ever since. 19, there's only one choice. So this is preparing you for E major. Really smooth F sharp to G sharp. And 20, again, only one choice. Now, also in the Klose, a little bit further on, you will come across pinky finger exercises. Say the 45 exercises. Number 1 is absolutely brilliant. Number 5 and 6 also very good pinky exercises. Number 12. Number 20 is quite interesting. So, but especially number 21. That's a huge one, and we'll work through that at some point. So, after 23, 24 builds on that. You want a really smooth G sharp to B. And also between the low E to B. It does a little bit odd sticking an F natural in there. It makes it a little bit more difficult because you've got to remember that F, that left-handed key. Okay, 25, you have a choice of E's. I prefer the right hand because it keeps it in the right hand. Now, you're not going to be able to use the forked fingering here because you've got to go to a low E. So you will need a really smooth cross fingering. And similarly, 26, you're alternating between E, F, and G. So if you really want to drive yourself nuts, that's a brilliant exercise. Number 26. 27, I prefer to leave the low E in the right hand. But keep the D sharp in the one hand by using the banana key fingering. And you will have to use that cross fingering at the end. In 28 you have a choice of E's, either the left hand one or the right hand. I prefer the right hand one to keep it all in the one hand. So it's preparing you for the Alberti bass if you're in the key of E. Now at 29 we add an F sharp in the mix. I prefer to keep it in the one hand. You can make work for yourself by doing it in the left hand. But that makes it a lot more difficult. 30, alternating between a lower note and a B. I prefer to keep that in the one hand, but you can use the left-handed notes for the E and F sharp. Now 31 we have the first of our slides, because if you use the regular fingering G sharp to F sharp to E and having to go back to a G sharp again, you just can't do it. So what Klose has suggested and what I would do is between the G sharp and the F sharp, just slide it down like that. See how easy that is? And slightly different glissandoing between the G sharp and the F. You can just go across like that. Now, the next exercise 33, it has you glissandoing between the E and the F sharp. I don't agree with that. I prefer to slide between the G sharp and the E, like that. So, as Klose has suggested, I prefer, because you'll come across your bare man scales when you have to do it, and I prefer to keep it in the right hand. Another one is to quickly change. Putting both keys down at the same time, I think that's a little bit too much bother. Okay, so number 35, really good strengthening exercise for the right hand or the left hand, depending on which one you choose. Because you're all four fingers at once. You don't want any notes you don't want in there. You can actually go, but it's not keeping it in the one hand. I don't like it. 36, I prefer to keep it in the one hand. Prepares you for A minor, but you can also, but I prefer it to keep it in the right hand, possibly because I'm right-handed. 37, we've touched on this before, going from the E to the C sharp. I know I make it look easy, it's not. You're coordinating 5 fingers at once. 38, we add an A into the mix, and this is the only finger you can use to go to that C sharp. Um, 39, we're adding an F sharp into the mix. I prefer to keep it in the right hand. And that's the only one you can use in order to get to the C sharp. Anyway, At 40, I prefer to keep it in the right hand. Or you can. Completely up to you, although there's a couple of less choices than 41. I prefer to keep it in the right hand. It's much the same. You'll see how you're working around these keys, these pinky keys here. Absolutely brilliant. 42 is a little bit different. Or you can keep it in the right hand. These are really, really good hand finger strengthening exercises. But we're only going to go up to 50 in this video. I'm going to go in 50 increments. Otherwise, if I was to cover any more, we'd probably go mad. So 43. So same, almost the same, but it's not. Prepares us for the E arpeggio. So you want a really smooth E to G sharp, and also between the E and the B and the E. 45, I prefer to keep it in the right hand. You can, of course. It just makes it a bit harder for yourself. Right, 46. You can choose the fingerings, although there's only one D sharp you can use, which is this one. So you really want a smooth G to D sharp. I know I'm making this look easy, it's not. 47, again preparing for an E7. Only one E you can use to go to this G sharp. 48 builds on the chord to a ninth. 49, I prefer to keep it in the right hand. But you can, of course. There's not much difference in difficulty here. 50, there's only one E you can use. Okay, so that is the first 50 of the Klose 633 practical daily exercises. So when you've driven yourself mad with those, be sure to join me for 51 to 100 and all the way through to 633. So thanks for listening. Bye for now.